Hello again. We've been recently talking about accents and asking different people about accents. In my opinion, deaf people can also have different accents. Some deaf people have a style that's more English, some are more oral, there's more finger spelling styles, and there's even more just pure ASL. Really, all of these different forms of signing are accents, just like how hearing people have accents. If you ever think, my goal is to get rid of my accent, I'm sorry, it's impossible. But I personally enjoy hearing people's accents, especially from when they're from different countries and they're speaking English. It can be really cool to hear someone from a different country speak properly in the right grammar for English. It just sounds so beautiful and smooth. I mean, you could have French or Italian, Russian, Spanish, Mexico. There's a bunch of different types of accents and different languages, and I think they're all beautiful, especially with their accents. Now, honestly, I'm hearing and I grew up hearing. I learned American Sign Language when I was about 21, which means that I have a hearing accent, which is fine as long as I'm signing clearly, you understand the language and grammar. As long as people understand me, that's totally fine to me. And I do my best to match all of the different deaf consumers. But not all interpreters are going to match properly with all deaf consumers. So for example, let's say a deaf person uses English sign, and the interpreter just can't match that English sign, and they're having a lot of problems with it. There's also the same situation where a deaf person is using really clear American Sign Language. So this can go back and forth. What was the other question I was going to talk about? Oh, information about signs. Okay. So let's say you're speaking English or you're oral signing. I had a deaf teacher show me something about this. See the movement I'm doing right there? Do you see my mouth? It looks kind of like a V, Z, H, viz, 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 viz. That's the sort of sound that it would make. So it doesn't mean fluent in ASL. It means more like word for word signing in English. Sometimes you'll see that sign right there, that movement. Oh, I was going to fingerspell. I'm a little struggling with my fingerspell here. Give me a second. Fluent. That was the word. So when you see that sign, it can mean fluent, but more often than not, it means like the sign language is more English. So that can mean maybe you have a new ASL student, someone who's learning, or maybe a new interpreter, or maybe even a deaf person who's focusing on hearing culture in English. And that person probably grew up oral. Or they could just prefer to express themselves in a more English mode. So whatever the reason, that's just a different style. You'll also see this sign, the sign that I just did. When you see that sign, it means ASL. Very different from English. So it can mean ASL or deaf with a capital D, someone who's very deep into the deaf culture. It could also mean a CODA, which is a child of a deaf adult, or it could be a really skilled and fluent interpreter. Anyway, thank you for looking at my blog, or excuse me, my vlog. I'm going to